Will the Mexi Tesla have paint? I'm Brian. Welcome to my Tesla weekend. Quick thanks to the newest patron, Jesse. Your decision to support the channel is what allows me to keep going, and I appreciate that so much. So Tom Zoo said, paint is expensive, but that's only part of it. Why is it expensive? What's the alternative? So there's some upsides to not having paint. Yeah, it's expensive. But the upsides, well, not painting, it's quicker, it's cheaper, and it's simpler. And the weight, well, there's a savings there too. Do you know a car has 25 to 30 kilograms of paint? It's like 50 pounds. XKCD did a fun comic where they looked at the actual cost of carrying around a penny in your car, 140,000 miles to break even. Yeah, you spend a penny in fuel over 140,000 miles. And 50 bucks, well, that'd be 5,000 pennies, because 100 pennies, fun fact, is a pound. Did you know that? Did you know 200 dimes is a pound? Do you know, what would that be, 20 bucks and quarters? No, 10 bucks and quarters is a pound. Yeah, 10 bucks and half dollars is a pound. Yeah, you can recalibrate your kitchen scale with it. It's a holdover from back when money was made of things that were worth something, specifically silver and copper. Times change, man. Pretty fun. So the cost. Yeah, it's cheaper. Why is it so much cheaper to not have paint? So the shop itself is expensive. How much is a paint shop? So I asked Sandy Monroe this question back in Florida at TeslaCon there, and he gave me a shocking answer. He said 200 million, 500 million, 700 million plus. Depends how big of a paint shop you want. Sky's the limit. Well, this factory in Mexico is going to be churning out 2 million cars, 1 to 4 million for sure. So what do we got? That's $1 billion probably for the paint shop. Maybe you could get away with 500 million, but it's an outrageous amount of money. So if it's a $1 billion paint shop making 1 million cars a year for 10 years, it's $100 a car. That's a lot of money. Taking $100 off a $25,000 car is big money. Paint itself, 25 to 30 kilograms, so that's 8 to 10 gallons. Good paint, anywhere from 30 to 90 bucks a gallon. So you're talking hundreds per car, 2 to 500 maybe. That's a lot of money. And then there's the space. A paint shop's pretty big. Takes up some space, makes the line longer. Distance from door to door, from materials to actual saleable inventory, should be as short as possible, but also as quick as possible. So that space is significant, but more significant is the space where you need to cure the paint before you can actually start working on it so you don't mess it up. That could be anywhere from 3 to 24 hours, depending how dry and hard you want it to get. At 2 million cars, that's 5,000 cars a day that you would need to have in storage at any given time. That's an outrageous amount of space. Even if you cut that down to 3 hours, you're still talking 1,000 cars. That's outrageous. So space is big. And then there's the cost of rework, because paint doesn't always come out right the first time. Sometimes you got to do it again. Sometimes there's scratches or imperfections, or it runs a little off color. Even Lucid and Rivian, in their early cars, that were hand-built with absolute love and affection, people were able to test and see that some panels had thicker paint than others, meaning there had been rework. And then, of course, there's time. Time itself costs money. If you're going to add 2 days to a build to paint a car, that's 2 more days you can't have money. If you're able to get a car out the other door, from goods in one door to a saleable, finished, sold product out the other door, you're able to reduce it by 2 days. That's 7 to 8% cheaper in terms of the cost of financing that vehicle. And if you're shipping it out of the country to other markets, okay, maybe it's only 1%, but that's still substantially cheaper. And that adds up. If you're talking over the course of a year, that really adds up. So what's the alternative? We know why it's better to not have paint. What's the alternative? Can you actually get by without painting? Yeah, well, you could do a CyberCar, couldn't you? Maybe they won't. Maybe the CyberCar philosophy is a little overly strong for the application. You see, a CyberCar has something going for it. A Cybertruck needs the strength. If you've got flat panels, they get a little floppy. But if they're thick enough, they don't flop. Cybertruck skeleton is thick, but it has to be because it's replacing the steel frame that normally goes underneath the truck. Then you've got thinner panels, but the spans aren't quite as big. So maybe you do half the thickness, you could still get away with it. Might be able to do that. You might. But what else could you do? Could you stamp the whole car, just like a Model S, in aluminum and not paint that? You don't have to paint aluminum. It won't be quite as lustrous. People would still wrap them. People would still paint them. But you could do that. You could absolutely have an aluminum stamped body on a CyberCar. Why not? And maybe it's not a CyberCar, maybe it's something else. So another question that was asked was, are we even going to get these cars in the US? And the answer is maybe. Officially, the word might be no. Maybe they think it'll detract too much from 3 and Y sales. Maybe they believe the market in Central, South America is underserved to a degree that it requires these cars. It's tough to say. But I believe, even if the official word is no, even if Tesla has said for sure the answer is no, they could be lying or they could be mistaken, because everything's subject to change. A lot of things that were definitely maybes became definitely yeses or nos along the way. What I think could happen is that a dual motor performance variant could come to the US early. Maybe not right at launch, but maybe close to it, maybe even at launch. But it wouldn't be a $25,000 car. It'd be a $40,000, $50,000 car. The margins would remain high, and the premium brand cachet Tesla enjoys in the US would remain intact. And if it's a premium brand in the US, it's a premium brand everywhere, even if the model you're selling somewhere else isn't quite as premium. So that means the $25,000 version, the rear-wheel drive only version, that would be sold in Central and South America and perhaps the Pacific Rim, that would still be an attainable dream car. It'd be something people would love. And you'd see folks in Brazil and Uruguay with their red nail polish painting their calipers to look like their performance edition. Why not? Sure, put some different wheels on it that you found that fit, go for it. You'd absolutely see that, and why not? One of the reasons a lot of cars are not imported from these countries, where there's some great low-cost vehicles you can find in Mexico that you can't find in America. And part of the reason, often, is they don't pass safety standards or other regulations, be it emissions or something else. These will pass emission standards, and it's Tesla. They'll pass safety standards too. So stay tuned, because after the official sign-off here, there's going to be a couple Q&As from some questions that came in on the last video about this. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, what did I miss? What did I misunderstand? Matt, thanks to my patrons who get early access, bonus content, all that good stuff. Help keep the channel running for as little as $1 a month. And yeah, for the rest of you, subscribe, like, leave a comment. Follow me on Twitter at 4K Podcast. And if you know a drone pilot in Sparks or Monterrey, Mexico, who are looking to help me out, I'm looking to hire someone, so that. With that said, here's the overtime bonus. And we are back in studio with a little bit of time for some Q&A. This comment came in from Narcisse. My question is, why didn't they make the Gigafactory in Europe, maybe Spain, Greece, or Turkey, for lower costs, where the type of car they want to build, hatchback, matches the demand? Latin America tends to have different tastes for cars than Europe. It is a much bigger place to fill with superchargers than Europe, where the infrastructure is already done. Well, there is still one more factory to announce. It could be in one of those countries. That's quite possible. I think the benefit is that it is a very short flight from Austin, where Elon lives, to Nuevo Leon, where the factory is being built. That makes it very easy in terms of logistics, in terms of building it. And that is also a very big market that can be tapped. So I guess the answer to that would be both of those reasons. They're both, the factory you're suggesting would be probably a good fit, but it would also be a good fit here because it's kind of easy. Per Larson said, if you go back to opening Giga Shanghai December 2019, you can hear a guy named Elon say, here we have built a factory and a R&D department where we're going to make a new car design that is to be sold at large scale all over the world. I bet that crew at the R&D have been busy with the car for 3 years now and are probably testing it in remote parts of China. So when the Gigamex is finished, Tom Zhu doesn't have to wait another year or two to start production because the design isn't ready. No, like he had the Model 3 all ready for Shanghai, he now has prototypes of the half-price hatchback at hand. That's very possible. I like that theory. Not breaking news if they have, is it? Yeah, maybe. That could absolutely happen. It'd be very easy to hide a car that doesn't look like anything in particular in rural China. Yeah, I think they could possibly have that done. And Tom Zhu would be the guy to come over and make it happen. He would have been a chief architect of something like that, and their R&D center could have done good work. I like that one. Keep the questions coming, and I'll keep answering them as long as they're as good as these. And even if they're not, I'll probably still answer them.